G'day and welcome to another video. In today's lesson we will learn how to make this really cool hat. It is a great hat for a man, but it could also be used for a woman's hat. This pattern was designed by myhobbyiscrochet.com and all the links for the written pattern will be in the description box. I love the texture of this hat as it has front post stitches and it is really thick and warm and great for a winter hat. So let's get started on the lesson. For our supplies, it says some Caron Simply Soft. I don't actually have any. I don't have access to that, so I'm going to be using Red Heart Super Saver. And you're going to need approximately 100 grams in the main colour. That's about half a skein of a Red Heart Super Saver 7 ounce. So that's about 3.5 ounces. It's an Aran weight yarn. Now this is a bit thicker, so I may have to be careful with the width of my hat. It uses a 5.5mm crochet hook. That's recommended for the Caron Simply Soft. I'm using a 5mm because my yarn is slightly thicker. And we're going to need a needle to weave in our ends. So I've got all my bits and pieces there. Like I said, I'm going to be using a 5mm. I normally use a 5 with the Red Heart Super Saver. Some people use a 5.5 or an eye hook, but my tension is quite loose, so that's why I use the 5, which is the smaller crochet hook. So we've got a written pattern, and this is on My Hobbies Crochet's website, so I will put the link in the description box for this pattern. So I printed mine out. Using the Caron Simply Soft and the instructions in this pattern, it will make about a 60cm circumference on your head. So my yarn is thicker than what's recommended, so I may need to do one less round, but we'll see how we go. We can always use the formula to make your hat fit. I will put the link in the description box for a written version of that. It's located on my website and is great to make hats fit you. And it says the hat is worked from the top down and each round begins with a chain 2, and that's not counted as a stitch. And there's also a chart as well, and there's lots of beautiful photos in this pattern as well. So go and check it out on myhobbyiscrochet.com. Again, I will put the link for the written pattern in the description box. You can use 2 colours for this hat. I've chose to use Red Heart Super Saver. This is blue, which is pretty self-explanatory, and this one is a turquoise. So they're the 2 colours I'm going to use. I was going to use grey, but I think that's going to be a little bit too dark for the video. Starting with colour A, so that's the main colour that you want to use for the hat. It says make a magic ring, so we'll take that slip knot off the crochet hook. So make a magic ring. I'll just zoom out a bit so we can see. There's different ways to do a magic ring, but I just wrap it around my fingers and then I just take my fingers out. This is just the way I do it. I'm sure there's plenty of other ways. And then I just do a chain to secure. It says make 8 double crochet into the ring, slip stitch to the top of the first double crochet. So I'm going to chain 3. So I've already done 1, so I'm doing the other 2. That's my first double crochet, yarning over, working 7 more double crochets into the center. So pull through 2, pull through 2, yarn over into the center, pull up a loop, pull through 2 and pull through 2. I'm going to assume that you know how to do a double crochet stitch. So that's 1. So the first chain 3 counts as 1, 2 and 3, 4, 'It should be 8 stitches altogether. Yep. And it was slip stitch into the top of the first. So into the top of your chain 3, you're going to make a slip stitch. I'm just pulling that tail at the back. Chain 2, work 2 front post double crochet around each double crochet of the round. So chaining 2, remember this does not count as our stitch. So work 2 front post double crochet. So that's yarning over, finding the stitch. A front post means you go in from the front, around the back of the stitch, out the other side, and work a double crochet as normal. Again, yarning over, going to the same stitch that we just worked, going from the front around the side to the back to the front again, and pull through and work your double crochet. Try again. There we go. So we got 2. So we need to do this to every stitch around. So finding your next stitch is here, from the front to the back, around to the other side. Work your double crochet as normal. And again, around that same stitch, work your front post double crochet. We want to do this around each of the stitches that we've got, and then I'll meet you when we're back ready to join. At the end of round 2 we have 16 stitches, and we're going to slip stitch to the top of the first double crochet. There are chain 2, we ignore the chain 2, and to the top of the double crochet we slip stitch into there. Chain 2, and this is the start of round 3. We're going to work 1 front post double crochet around the next stitch. So 1 front post double crochet, and double crochet into the top of the same stitch. So this stitch here, if we fold that forward, there's actually a vacant stitch at the back. So fold that forward, it's just there. It's a little bit cramped because we've got a chain 2 in there as well. We're going to pop that into there. I'll show you that again on the next one. And then 1 front post double crochet around the next stitch. And it says repeat from start. So 1 front post around the next stitch, and then 1 double crochet into the top of the same stitch. So I'll move that forward, and we have 2 loops here, because that is the top of this stitch here. So double crochet into there, and 1 front post double crochet around the next. So every second one is just 1 front post double crochet, and then every second on the other stitch is around the front, and then going behind that stitch, going into the top. For a normal double crochet. So the next one is front post, and the next one is our front post, and then working around the back. And when we work around the back, that's our increase stitch. So front post around the next, front post around the next, and also the double crochet into the top of the stitch. I'm going to repeat this around until we get back, and I'll meet you when we get to here. We should have 24 stitches, and we're going to slip stitch to the top of the first front post double crochet. So ignoring our chain 2, we're going into there, and we're going to chain 2 again. So we've got our chain 2, and then we can work our front post double crochet around the next front post double crochet. And I just read on the pattern that you can actually work around a chain 2. So that's this little tiny bit there, and that front post double crochet. And this will make our seam less visible. So one front post double crochet around the next, and double crochet into the top of the stitch. So going around the back there again, double crochet in there. We want to work one front post double crochet around the next one, and one front post double crochet around the next one. And then we're going to work our front post and our normal crochet into the top of the stitch. So this one we're working an increase every third stitch. So front post, front post, and then our increase one. So front post, and then at the top of the stitch. We're going to repeat that around until we get back to here. When we get around to the end, we're going to have 32 stitches, and this last stitch here is a front post, and there's only going to be one because that last one there was an increase, because you've got one there, and then there's one single one there, and then our next one was an increase. So we're going to join into the top of the front post double crochet, which is here. So up to round 5, we're going to chain 2, one front post around the next 2 stitches. So grabbing our chain 2 in our front post together. 1, 2, and then work our increase. So around the front post and into the top the stitch, and then one front post like so. Then it's going to be 2 more front post, and then our increase. So our increase is here, then we've got 3 single front posts by themselves, and then our increase. And we're going to repeat this all the way around. So we're going to do 3 front post double crochet, and then it's our increase. So around the front and into the top. We're going to repeat this all the way around until we get back to the beginning of the row. So once we get to the end, our second last stitch was an increase, and then we have 1 front post because these 2 front posts make up the group of 3. So we're going to slip stitch into the top of the first front post double crochet. And we should have had 40 stitches on that round. We're going to chain 2. Front post around the next 3 stitches. So grabbing our chain 2 at the same time. 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to do an increase with front post double crochet in the top. Just grabbing some yarn. and then one front post around the next. And then it says repeat from star, so it's one front post around the next 3. One increase, so we're going to do front post, then into the top, and then a front post. So that's what we've got. So this time we've got an increase and an increase, and we've got 4 single stitches in between. So we've just done our increase there, then 1, so we need to do 4 all together, so that's 1 in each of the next 3. That's 1, 2, and 3, so that makes 4 front posts there, and then we've got an increase here, so we need to do another increase, so that's a front post and double crochet in the top. Making this look hard, aren't I? There we go. And then one front post around the next 4 stitches. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then our increase. So it's in the back. And then we're going to repeat this all the way around until we get back to here. So again, that finishes on just 1 stitch after your increase, because the other ones are in this side and make up for it. We're going to slip stitch into the top of the double crochet, ignoring the chain 2. And I actually counted my stitches, and we were supposed to have 48, and I kept getting 49, and I couldn't figure out why. It is because when I was counting that stitch here. Just be careful you don't do that. So now we're on to round 7, and again chain 2 and 1 front post double crochet into the next 4 stitches. So grabbing the chain 2 as well, I'm going to do a front post double crochet. We want to do it around the next 4 stitches, so that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Work your increase. So that's around the front and also at the top. And then work 1 front post and then it says repeat from star, so 1 front post around the next 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then increase into the next one. So that's a front post and then 1 at the back. So now when we look at it, we've got an increase here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then an increase. So we've just done our increase. And now we're going to do 1 double crochet in each of the next 5 stitches. Sorry, a front post double. Each of the next 5. and then an increase into the next one. And we're going to repeat this around, and I'll meet up with you. This is looking really good. Meet up with you when we get around here. Oh, and also, if at any stage that you think you want to make this for a smaller person, this is an adult male size, about 60 centimeters. But if at any time you want to make it smaller, so you want to make maybe a baby or, you know, a little child or a teenager, what you can do is you measure across here. And then the formula is on my website. Like I said, I will put the link in the description box. I know to make my, to make a hat to make my, spit it out. To make a hat to fit my head, I have to keep going until it's 18 centimeters, which is about 7 inches across the top. And my head's 58 centimeters. So I know I have to keep increasing because that's not even close. But like I said, there's a formula on my website. If you don't know what it is, the link is in the description box. Under head sizes in the description box, and that will take you to the formula. And I suggest that you print it out or write it down because it comes in so handy. So yeah, now we just need to repeat that around. So we're doing increase and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 front post double crochets by themselves, and then increase again. So at the end of this round, we're going to have 56 stitches. And again, like always, we've finished just on that one stitch because the rest of the 5 are over here, so we should have 4 over there. We're going to join into the top of the first front post double crochet. Then we're going to chain 2, and then 1 front post double crochet around each of the next 5. So grabbing our chain 2 as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then an increase. And then 1 front post double crochet, and then it says repeat from star. So that's 1 front post around the next 5. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I need another one. And then it was an increase. So we have an increase here, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So as you can see, each round that we're doing, we're gaining, because we're doing our increases, we're gaining 1 more front post double crochet in between our increases, because the row before was 5, because increase there and increase there, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and on this round we've got 6 because we've got an increase here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then on the next round you have 7 and 8 and so on and so on. So if you're using 8-ply, double knit or sports weight yarn, you could keep increasing. Even if you run out of patterns, rows on the pattern, you could easily do it yourself by adding 1 each round. So we need to go into the next 6 stitches for a front post. and then increase into the next one. So we've got increase there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then an increase. We're going to repeat this around until we get back to the start of our round. It's starting to look really good. It is folding up like that. That's because how we're holding it. So once we've got our rest of our side part done, I will actually curve down and fit our head. So I'm just going to quickly measure that. I don't think it's big enough. No, it's only 15 centimetres across. So what you do is it's 15 centimetres times 3.14, and the end of that, the answer that you get, which I have no idea what it is, but whatever 15 times 3.14 is, that's how big your hat's going to turn out. It also works for inches, so it's 6 inches across, 6 times 3.14, whatever the answer to that is. That is how big your hat is roughly going to turn out when we stop our increasing. So if we'd stopped on this round and continue with the sides, that's how big our hat will be. But I need to get to 7 inches, not 6. So I'm going to keep going with a few more rounds. I'll show you what to do. So just finish off this round and I'll meet you on the next. So we've ended on our 1 stitch, and then we're going to slip stitch to the top of the first front post. And at the end of that round we will have 64 stitches. So round 9 is chain 2, front post, grabbing that chain 2 as well, and it's front post around each of the next 6 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's 6, and then front post and then increase around the next, so in the front and also the top, and then 1 front post around the next, 1 front post around each of the next 6 stitches, and then increase into the next one. So it's around the back. So this round we have an increase 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So like I said, it's going up 1 stitch because the previous row was 6 and the one before that was 5, wasn't it? So each one we're getting 1 more, but just at the beginning there we start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because remember we put the 7th stitch in when we come back around the other side. So repeat this around, and on the written pattern, if you need it, there's 2 extra increase rounds that are written there. I won't be showing you because I've just shown you basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds of how to read that pattern, so you will be more than likely be able to read that to yourself. But like I said, remember each round it claims or gains, claims, whatever you want to say, 1 more stitch in between our increasing. So we've got increase 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. On your next round you'll have 8 in between your increases, and on the next round it's 9. With this Red Heart Super Saver, it's a thicker yarn, so I don't need as many increases. If you're using the Caron Simply Soft 8 ply or Sport Sweep or double knit, did I say double knit? You're going to need, you might even need those extra 2 rounds, so continue on with those. It's on the written pattern, which is located on My Hobby Is Crochet's website, so like I said, the link is below in the description box. I'll stop talking and we'll work our way around. until we get over to here. So when we come around, we slip stitch to join. Don't need to show you how to do that because you've already done it 9 times. I'm sure by now you've got the hang of it. And like I said, there's 2 more increase rounds that you can do. The instructions are on the pattern, so you can go and check them out on My Hobby is Crochet's website. So the next section, because I know that this is going to fit me, because when I measure it, it is hopefully approximately 7 inches. Yep. So I know that's going to fit my head when I do the sides. So the sides, from now on there will be no increases made anymore. It's a little difficult to count the rounds. Good tip from pattern tester Lucy. Add a stitch marker at the end of round 11. So let's grab a stitch marker. You can use a fancy schmancy one like this, or I can't find, oh, it's stuck to my pattern. A paper clip like that. It's not a paper clip, a hair clip. And what I was doing as I was doing that pattern was putting it underneath the round that I was working on, so that I knew where I was up to and wasn't reading the wrong one. So we can use a stitch marker. So let's pop that in now. And put it around the stitch. So I've just popped it around the stitch like a front post where you put your crochet hook. So that would be round 11. That, to me, it's actually round 9 because I'm not doing the last 2 increase rounds. But whatever round is your last increase round, put it around there. It says this way it's easy to count the rounds of the sides. So round 12, for me it will be round 10. But it doesn't matter what round it is. Even if you've made a baby one, this is exactly the same. It's chain 2 and 1 front post double crochet around each stitch. Slip stitch to the top of the first front post double crochet. So that, my friends, is easy peasy. And it says work it to about 19 centimeters. Now this is if you're making it for an adult male. And Kinga, which is the lovely lady at My Hobby is Crochet, made 27 rounds. But again, if you're making it for a baby or a smaller adult, you may not need that many. There's also size charts on my website, so if you need some help with that, you can look it up on there. So 1 front post, popped that in the wrong spot, didn't I? Because I need to crochet around there, around each stitch. So I'm grabbing my chain 2 at the same time. And now I'll put that back in because I won't need that anymore. And front post around every single stitch. No more increasing at all. So I don't really need to show you that because you'll know what you're doing. And then when you come back around, slip stitch into the top of the first front post double crochet. I'm going to repeat this for as many rounds as you need. If it's for yourself, try it on as you work, then you'll know how many rounds that you need to do. If not, try it on the person that you're making it for if possible. Oh, look at the back. Isn't that cool? That's groovy. If not, there's size charts on my website, and that's in the link below, which is the same link for the measurements across here. So happy crochet until you get to as many rounds as you need for the side of your hat. So I've done the sides of my hat and I have 21 rounds from the beginning to the end. On the pattern it says to make 27, but because I've used the Red Heart Super Saver, if I make 27 it's going to be way too long. But just make as many as you need. And the next round we need to change to colour B. So I'm going to cut off my yarn and finish off that colour. And it says, so this is rounds 28 and 29 on the pattern. Of course, if you've got a different amount, then it will be a different amount of rounds. But that doesn't matter because this hat pattern's really good. You just make it to the length that you need. And what we're going to do is make 2 rounds working the same as what we've just been doing, which on the pattern it's round 12. So we're going to attach our yarn where I've just finished off. Chain 2, and then we're going to go around the chain 2 and the first stitch, and we're just going to work 2 more rounds of what we've just been doing, but we're going to be changing to this colour, well, any colour that you want to do. If you don't want to change colour, just do another 2 rounds or until it's the length that you need, because the round after this is a single crochet round and then a slip stitch round, so the next finishing round won't have too much length to it. So I'll just do my 2 rounds off camera and I will be back. Round 30 on the pattern says chain 1 and front post single crochet around each stitch around, slip stitch to the top of the first front post single crochet. So working around the stitch, grabbing the chain 2 and the first stitch, work a single crochet around the next stitch, and then just work your single crochet around like so, and then we're going to join into the top of the first stitch, and we're going to work this all the way around. And when we get around, we're going to slip stitch into the top of the chain, top of the first single crochet, and then we're going to start round 31 on the pattern. Row 31, I've just finished row 30. It says chain 1 and do that tight. So I'll just pull that to make that tight. It says work 1 slip stitch back loop only around, so inserting the hook into the back loops of the stitches from round 30 and back loops of stitches from round 29. So this is round 30. And then 29 is just over the back here, just behind where you did the previous row. So going into the back loop, so there's 2 loops. I've got anything to point with, I'll use my pencil. This loop here is the front loop, and that loop there is the back loop. So that's where we're going through. So going back loop of this one. And on the row behind it, we're also going to go through the back loop. And then we're going to slip stitch. But we don't want to do these too tight, otherwise it will make our brim of our hat smaller and it may not fit. So we just want to do it not too loose and not too tight, just right. So going through the back loops. Again, back loop. We're going to continue all the way around. Now if you can't tell where you started, grab a stitch marker, because I know I won't. I'll just come around and just keep going and then put it in where you started, and that will remind you where you have to stop. So after we've done our last stitch, we're going to pull our yarn through. I've already cut my yarn. And we're going to find our yarn needle and then sew in our ends. To sew in our ends, I've just threaded my yarn needle. I'm going to go through the back there. And then I'm going to work underneath the stitches, which doesn't look like it's as easy to do as what it is normally when we crochet. But we're going to go under some stitches. And then go back again with our yarn, and that will just lock that into place. Cut off our yarn, and then do that with any other ends that you've got. I've got one there and probably one at the beginning as well when we started. So get rid of that stitch marker. And there we have our hat. I really like this hat. I really enjoyed this pattern. I love the texture that the front post stitch gives. If you enjoy this, make sure you give it the thumbs up. Please share the video with your friends. Also share your creation on our Facebook page and Google Plus pages. My link and also My Hobbies Crochet Facebook link will be in the description box. We also have a newsletter that is available now on Bob Wilson 123. There is one every month. There's also some other past issues there as well, so they're always available for you to look at. There's lots of free patterns, crochet tips and ideas for colour. Thanks for watching, and until next time, happy crochet!